But anyways, that's so cool.
We're live. It's so cool. Hi, everyone.
What's up, guys?
Lawrence
Ah,
and us are just having a little pre-call catch up, and then he's like, let's just go live and do this on the tube.
yeah.
I
Yeah, welcome
was
guys.
just,
Welcome to the current.
welcome,
Um,
welcome.
yeah, Haley was just telling me that someone's making a documentary about
Yeah, Gene Keys
her journey.
documentary.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Oh, hi, Lisa. We've got someone with us live, my beautiful friend Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Fellow Gene Keys lover. Yeah, so I met this amazing man, John, at a Perth Gene Keys meetup, and we didn't get to chat much there. But then he ended up finishing his Gene Keys guides course and reached out to me, and was like, "Oh, like I would love to come and just, you know, ask you questions about what it's been like being a guide and that kind of thing." And we just started connecting, and then one thing led to another, and he's wanting to make a Gene Keys film. And things just intersected that he was like, can I do it about your experience with the Gene Keys in your life? And I was like, heck yeah, you can. How exciting is that? And he's legit. He works for Channel 7 over here and travels around Australia doing different sorts of films.
Cool.
And he
Mhm.
does the filming for like extreme truckers, you know, like those like ice road truckers and that kind of stuff. Like he does film crew for those sorts of things, and he's wanting to weave together his love of the Gene Keys and his love of filmmaking. So yeah, we're gonna do a short film about the Gene Keys and the archetypes moving through my story and see what story wants to emerge. So yeah, we started the process yesterday, which was really exciting.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
I was joking with Courtney the other week. I was like, I want to make like a spoof trailer about my life, like a like an indie trailer, but it's just about me. And like total, I don't know, just like mundane issues, but like just film it as like a trailer of like how I go about my weeks and absolute goofy stuff. But I love that.
Creativity, right?
I love that medium and
Mm,
like
mm.
yeah, what a treat to be like
It's
just
such a treat to
featured.
just be
Yeah.
involved. And I think that one of my favorite thing about this experience unfolding, and it's my favorite thing about many experiences I have, I just love getting to witness somebody else in their genius.
Hmm.
You know, I love getting to witness somebody else that's just in love with what they're doing. And I think that when you witness someone in their genius, they love it so much and it's so naturally them that they don't realize that they're a
Hmm.
genius. They're like, oh, I just love doing this thing. And you're on the receiving end being like, I'm in the presence of genius right now. I need a sneeze.
I'm witnessing.
It won't come. You know when you need a sneeze, but it won't come.
I do know.
Mm.
I I agree though. I think genius is only ever witnessed, you know?
Mm.
Like in many
Hmm.
ways.
I've been saying that to my husband at the moment because he's been a builder, carpenter for I don't know what would it be now, like 22, 23 years. And um
Mhm.
he was wanting to change careers and he did change careers for a bit, but things have happened and he's kind of had to go back to building for a little while and he was in resistance to it for a bit. And I'd just been having some conversations with him and it came to my attention that this had come so naturally to him, and his dad was a builder and his brother's a builder, and it was just, you know, you just grew up and
Mhm.
you're a builder, that he didn't realize how much of a genius he is in that realm. He didn't realize the mastery and he didn't realize the level of impact that his attention to detail actually brings to people's lives. And so as he's been re-entering back into this as what he's doing for a living, been having conversations like that. And then I've been noticing him noticing, oh, like what I do is important. It's special. I do have a genius for this. It's not just something I do. Like he's never really let himself see, there are builders and there are people that, do renovations and that kind of thing. And then
Hmm.
there is Bevan, who is a genius at doing this stuff, and his attention to detail and his experience that he takes the client through, and the connections that he makes along the way. And it's been beautiful watching him considering his own genius, you
Right.
know?
I do. Uh, yeah, I mean, I love it. Like genius is so obvious. Our genius, our individual genius appears like so obvious to us, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really like you can't be a genius by yourself. It's always in like
Mm,
relationship.
mm.
And
And we often
um
disqualify ourselves from our own genius because of the ease. It comes
mhm,
naturally. I didn't work hard enough for it, so this can't be worth as much as you're telling me it's worth. But that is the strike of genius, is that it is part of the thing that is so natural in you, and it's just this overflow of who you are, you know?
mhm. Yeah, I contemplate this a lot, like do that 16 jinky, which I feel like we're
Mm.
dancing around at the
Yeah, we're in
moment.
like this
But
crossover point right now as we shift. This the last day of the 20th gene key, and then we move into the 16. And I've been contemplating a lot about the intersection between those two gene keys around, which is not something I've ever contemplated before. I've contemplated 16 a lot because if anyone's watched my video on my YouTube channel of my top 10 favorite gene keys of all time, gene key 16 took the top spot. So gene key 16
mm,
is my favorite gene key, and I've contemplated it a lot. I've contemplated 20 and I've had lots of clients with 20, but I've never contemplated them like as a couplet, as a
mhm,
looking at the crossover in the pulse. And yeah, so I've been contemplating superficiality and indifference and the connection between those, and
mm,
self-assurance and versatility, and yeah, that crossover point, and the need to get down into yourself in order to access that versatility. Otherwise, that superficiality just kind of keeps you trapped in the indifference to a certain degree. So, um, yeah, looking forward to chatting about those two keys today.
right. I think the irony is that we're often like so indifferent to our own genius is
Mm,
like how it
hmm
comes about. And
hmm
then only really to like let ourselves live our genius, we also have to become indifferent to the part of ourselves that has like an opinion about it, you know?
mm,
So it's like there's like a lot of layers in that gene key for me. Um,
hmm
and I've been thinking about like to me it's like the well with the 16 and the 48 like through the if you're this is nerd stuff connect to like the channel of talent. So I think like talent is like a real good place of like where we think like things seem obvious to us, you know? But it's
hmm
like talent isn't necessarily our genius. Like our genius is something so much more like integrated and like refined in like our experience, you know? But our talents, like woodworking, whatever, point pretty
hmm
specifically to our
hmm
genius um if we practice them, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And like
uh,
I've always considered 16 as, if I look at the journey of the golden path and the gene key profile, I've always sort of housed 16 in the vocation as it moves into the pathway of initiative. And before the vocation was called the vocation, it used to be called the core talent. So you have your
I
core
remember,
wound,
yeah.
and then it's your core talent. And so the fact that the 16 is from that thing around this idea of talent. But then when you bring this word vocation in and kind of wrap the talent in this broader, deeper word vocation, I think woof, you really get the essence of it. But yeah, like 16 is so much about talent and what we're naturally drawn towards, but also not just our inherent talent, but then what what else we learn from that original place, from that original spark of something that lights us up or
Mhm.
we're just naturally drawn towards, if you have the courage to follow that, you will
Mhm.
build out an array of skill sets that, whoa, you become one versatile motherfucker. But it was really about this one thing at the core that then like boof. I mean, Lawrence and I, we've even formed a little saying where
Go
we're
with
like,
that.
we're
Oh
gonna
my.
Gene Key 16 it, you know, like if there's
Yeah,
something new we have to learn, a new skill of learning how to live
right.
stream on YouTube or learning how to cut clips, it's like gonna Gene Key 16 it.
Hmm. Yeah, God, that threw me. Yeah, like part of it is uh like part of the like holographic nature of this Jinky that I feel is like allowing yourself to apply the same principles across domains. And
Mm-hmm.
the like as an example, like the Gene Key 16, like our YouTube channel, I was like, okay, I have to just I need a time, first of all, which is like kind of a good bridge to the 20th, which I find is like deeply about time, and uh need to find out like what the universal attributes of this like process is that I understand from other things, whether it's like writing or dance, but like there's
Mm-hmm.
foundational elements.
Yep.
Yeah, the 16, how do you define genius?
Mm. I guess I feel like genius can lead you to mastery, right? So mastery being the city of Gene Key 16, I think that genius can take you to mastery, but you're going to have to move through the realms of indifference. Like I feel like Gene Key 16, like you said, it's like those kind of universal principles to be good at one thing is you can apply that to everything. To master one thing, you can master anything. And I think Gene Key 16 sets out a framework for us of what it looks like to follow through with your genius
Hmm.
and the difficulties that you can expect to come up against in that voyage, right? Like the indifference, how Richard kind of describes indifference is when you're afraid to be different,
Hmm.
you become
Yeah.
indifferent. And part of genius is the style and the uniqueness and the your virgin path, you know, of creativity, your virgin path of owning this piece that you came here to play in the collective, you know. And so I feel like 16 sets out a framework, a curriculum for us of, okay, yes, there is genius in you,
Hmm.
but this is what it's going to take. And this is the discomfort that you're going to be called to come up against. And it's, I think, one thing about genius, and if I kind of relate this to vocation, you know, one thing about that thing that was implanted in you at the moment of your birth that was your piece to play in the collective and that core talent, that thing that you're here to do in only a way that you can do it.
Hmm.
One of the things that can block us is we care so much about that thing because it's this genetic thing in us that like I was born for this that we become afraid to care about it. And this for me is like the indifference. It's indifference isn't not caring. Indifference is being so petrified to care that you pretend not to care. It's, you know, I'm too afraid to care about that thing because then if I care about that thing in me, I'm going to have to do something about it. If I
Hmm.
care deeply about that thing in me, not only am I going to have to do something about it, but then I'm going to have to walk this path where I open myself up to failure, where I open myself up to judgment, where I open myself up to having to move through all of these fears that genius requires of me. because
Right.
genius isn't just about, okay, I've got this thing and I just do it and it's easy. Yes, there is an ease that is found in genius, but genius takes you on your path of purpose, and purpose is about revealing the fears that are also inbuilt into your DNA that you're destined to peel back. It's about coming into the wound that your service actually births from. And so
Mhm.
indifference is a special kind of avoidance
Sure.
of genius. So like I feel like I kind of took a tangent from your original question, but like
Oh, I was
that's like
I'm
yeah,
following.
the intersection point that I see between Gene Key 16 and genius, because if we're willing to follow that spark and we're willing to take that journey of peeling back our own indifference, you
Uh-huh.
eventually do arrive in the lands of mastery, I think.
Sure. Thank you for that. I many thoughts. I agree for sure. I one quote that I like copy and like just follows me around like some of my notes is like indifference is like um the frequency that occurs whenever you like allow your life to be focused on the inessential.
Mm,
And that always like shakes me awake
mm,
because I see like when I contemplate that statement, I like suddenly there's like a zoom out moment and I see all the ways that I've been living like superficially, you know, at like
mm-hmm,
a just a surface level. And like
mm-hmm,
indifference will always keep like a hand away from
mm,
like maybe like getting wet, you know, or getting
mm-hmm,
dirty,
mm-hmm,
um, or failing, which I agree. I think this gene key is like deeply tied to the 32nd in some ways, and like also there's like the octave shift of this one is like really unique between like if you
mm.
start at the 8 to the 16 to 32, 64, because
Ooh,
it's like
oh, the
there's like a really
mathematics.
it's more just it's like a raising a doubling of the frequency, and I see
Yes.
these things kind of like play out because like mostly like part of the reason we stay indifferent is because we're afraid to fail, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because then uh yeah, it's like the I think part of like accessing this gift of versatility is like first like recognizing, saying, allowing myself to say I'm afraid to fail, you know? And then shifting like to see that like all failure is like practice. And really
Mm-hmm.
like the mastery is just like the performance is the practice. Everything
Mm-hmm.
leading up to that is uh just try one. I'm trying to remember the things I already wrote about. But I'm tempted to read the actual definition of genius from the Glossary of Empowerment,
Do it.
which I have to pull up, but I don't know if
Do
the
it. Do it. Do it. Hmm.
which I love. If you guys haven't if you're watching this and you haven't checked out the Glossary of Empowerment, it is a uh awesome resource if you're navigating the gene keys.
Mm.
It's basically just a small dictionary of the specific language in terms that you'll find as like you traverse and like read the gene keys, and it like provides just
Mm-hmm.
a whole new layer of depth. Okay. Um, so this is genius, the innate intelligence of all human beings. True genius, as opposed to intellectual genius, is a spontaneous and unstudied creative uniqueness rooted in unconditional love. Genius is the natural manifestation of a human life when it is allowed to expand without force. Genius is a hallmark of the gift frequency band where self-forgiveness leads to a progressive opening of your heart, resulting in an explosion of creative energy throughout your being. The higher frequency of your DNA rises, or the higher the frequency of your DNA rises, the greater your urge will be to use your genius in service to the whole. As
Mm.
more and more people join their genius together, the world as we see it today will be transformed.
Mm. Mm.
Banger.
the the journey of a human life
Mm,
that is geared towards unlocking that
mhm,
is, I think this is genius, like it says, it's unique and everyone's genius is unique, but I think there are fundamental principles of the journey of unlocking that. Like there are certain aspects of that journey that are going to be repeated, like in a fractal nature through every person that kind of takes that mission. There is
right.
going to be a softening. There is going to be a moving closer to the wound. There is going to be a deep patience that needs to be cultivated. There is going to be a need to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. There are all of these sort of universal truths around what it might look like in a person's life to really walk that path of allowing, because it's not even about activating our genius. Really, it's not about figuring out our genius. It's more about this path of allowing ourselves
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
to be
No,
in
yeah,
our genius.
uh-huh. Yeah, I think like the innate intelligence, first of all, it's just like that word innate. It's like our genius is something like we arrive here with.
Mm,
And it's that I think that's like part of the reason like this Jinky just like kind of like shatters open is because that same innate patterning is what we're like mirroring in whatever we're finding our
mm,
versatility through, you know?
mhm,
Like whatever we're the same patterns like that you were just describing, those same innate functions. It's like, oh, those are the ingredients that I'm gonna have to use for every
mm,
task, no matter what it
mm.
is, you
No
know?
matter what it is.
Yeah. And yeah, I think to me, like talent, like becoming aware of our talents and becoming aware of the more we become aware of our talents, the more we'll become aware of our wounding naturally.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because it's like our talents happen to be like our superpowers are kind of deeply tied to our the healing of our heart and like our awakening.
Yeah.
And then allowing ourselves or like developing our talents, like allowing ourselves to like practice these certain universal principles like pulls us deeper into our genius. So it's like
Mm,
to me, genius is like using all your gifts at the same time. It's like
mm,
when you're like thriving. It's like when
mhm.
all those gifts come together.
How Richard says it in the introduction of the book, genius is to live life at your zenith.
It's great. Yeah.
So delicious. Lisa's just commented something. She said, I didn't know how much I needed this conversation today, but I've been contemplating this through the lens of 32 and the fear of failure, fear of not having enough if I simply preserve my genius.
Mm,
Ooh. Oh,
thank you, Lisa.
yeah. Just this. Yeah, I think this is the real beauty of 16, that once you have taken the journey of kind of 16 is about understanding what it really takes to become really good at something.
Yes.
Like what it actually takes, because we all like to witness mastery and think, "Oh, I could do that." you know, and we often we see mastery when you're witnessing mastery, you're witnessing the ease of somebody in their element, the ease of somebody in. Oh, but what you're not seeing in that moment is everything it took in
Mm,
order to be standing in the embodiment of that. And I guess what I really love about 16 is, from my contemplating of the indifference and versatility and mastery, when I witness mastery, what my soul is now resonating not just with what they're presenting me with, but all that it took for
Hmm.
them to be playing that role, and all of the things that you have to sacrifice in order to really take that mission and hone that craft, to hone that genius, to hone those skills, and all of the all of the difficulty a person will have come up against in their mind. And like, in order to take initiative, in order to take a spark and then make something out of it,
Hmm.
that takes something. But I think that's what makes us, that's so human of us, and it's part of the richness of our human journey. And I think that, like, the indifference, like Richard even talks about in Gene Key 16, that indifference is like a cloud, like a blanket kind of over the earth, that there is so much indifference. And I
Hmm.
think it's so painful because we know that we're built for taking the initiative. We know we're built for the creativity, but we've become so afraid, or we've repressed so much of the wound, or are so afraid of the judgment, or we're just so afraid of our own discomfort that we push it away. Yet in the indifference, there's still a deep soul knowing that I am meant to be I am meant to be doing more. You know, that feeling that people have, like, I'm meant to be doing more with my life, but then a lot of
Or less.
people, yeah, or less, like, or what I'm doing with my life isn't quite the thing, you know. But then we think, well, but I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what my genius is. I don't even know what I like. That becomes a question. That's where I see how the 20 precedes the 16 in the pulse. It's like, in order to even get down into that core talent and that flame, well, we have to take that journey beyond the superficial layers, and we have to take that journey of learning to actually be with ourselves so that we know what it even is.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you in uh the what was I saying? In the definition from the glossary,
Mm-hmm.
uh genius is the natural manifestation of a human life when it is allowed to expand without force. And I feel like that is like
Mm-hmm.
where we like bridge through the 34 to the 20.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the moment yeah, as you're saying, like let ourselves breathe. And also it's like what coming through to me is like, you see in that like kind of like to what you were saying, like indifference is such like a mental paradigm because like
Mm-hmm.
we can shut down maybe like our empathy and compassion, but we can't like shut down like our soul level awareness, at least not
Mm-hmm.
indefinitely, you know? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like even if, as you said, we're like repressing deeply, there is a feeling, and most of I think like indifference is just a fear to feel in general, you know,
Yeah.
to feel anything.
Yeah.
Because once you feel one thing, you have to feel all of it, you know?
Yep. Yep. And that's
And
like, sorry, I got a bug flying in my face. That's like, the way that I described superficiality in my last email that I wrote. I was like, superficiality meets life in an attempt to access purpose without feeling any pain,
mhm. Oh, hmm.
which I think then leads into, then the indifference is the result of that. It's like the result you then live in due to trying to find this purpose, but without any pain, and you inevitably end up in a place of indifference that doesn't feel good.
Mm. Yeah, I was like writing notes before this, and I wrote that like superficiality is spending your attention on things that will not feed you.
Mm, mm. And
And of
you can even superficially dive into the gene keys where you're just
course, yeah.
studying them. You're just reading, and just, okay, I'm going to come across the right piece of information and it's going to change my whole life. And so
Mhm.
we can even think we're contemplating, but it's actually superficiality. Like true contemplation is not to find knowledge, but to take it into ourselves and to be with it. What does it look like to be present with this thing that my mind was intrigued about, and then taking it down into the body, you know?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I have this Jinky as my in my purpose sphere, my profile, the 20th.
Mm.
Um, and I think one of the most like interesting points between this and the 34 is like where uh I believe it's in the text. I haven't read in a minute. But like Richard speaks about how this one is like mostly like it's mostly unconscious as far as like when I feel myself in the shadow of superficiality, it's like I find myself, you know? It's like a
Mm.
whole alarm clock, you know? And the like you can get by for so long in indifference, you know? The world like rewards superficiality. It rewards
Yeah, it's so true.
forcing things, you know?
Yeah.
Seemingly it
Yeah.
would.
It
And
rewards knowledge as well, you know,
yeah, for a minute, yeah.
for a minute. Yeah. 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 Like
But
superficiality, which then you end up inevitably, it kind of shows itself in the 16 is because, 16 mastery is to just be it, right? Whereas superficiality gets stuck in the land of might know a lot, but it
mm,
doesn't embody much of it. It's like the superficiality is when we could tell everybody how to change your life. We could tell everybody all of the things that are life changing and transformational, but then you come into the 16 and it's like, I'm not living it though. I'm not embodying it though. And it like brings us back again. It's like, okay, like how do I take what I know and really embody it? And the thing is, like, even things that we're naturally very interested in, right? So you and I were very naturally interested in gene keys. Like you're very naturally interested in certain things, and so am I. And I think that the convergence point between 20 into the 16 is when you're naturally interested in something, you like to learn a lot about it. But then it's like, okay, and and then what does it look like to embody that? What does it look like to
sure.
live that? And then, like, as you live it in that self assurance, like, ooh, the courage that you start to access in the 16 feels very different, you know?
Yeah, to me, they give frequency and like this get to self-assurance is like super connected to synchronicity in many ways.
Mm.
Because it's
Tell me
like
more.
for me, I gain a lot of self-assurance through the phenomenon of
Mm.
synchronicity because it shows me not only that like contemplation as a tool like in my own life is working, but also that like I am part of something much greater, you know? And that's like where I feel it's not just like confidence, you know, it's like
Mm.
where the delineation, it's uh like self-assurance is more akin to knowing than it is to like
Mm.
charisma, I think. And when, you know, we find ourselves in synchronicities, whether positive or negative, mostly positive. That's how I find them. But uh, it's like the field of your individual contemplation is like rotating the mirrors around in
Mm-hmm.
such a way, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to show you that like the path is occurring as you walk it. And
Mm.
like for me, in like the line three, like a lot of my self-assurance comes through experimentation, just
Mm-hmm.
like so I and through movement. Um,
Mm.
like I find my stillness, I find my presence through movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I yeah, through the well, I guess what I was gonna say is I don't know, like mastery is such a fickle thing to talk about. Because it's like who would know if you were a true master? You
Mm.
know. But there's also signs of mastery, that go like unnoticed, like just because this is kind of where like the what I was pointing to, where I was saying like the world rewards you for certain things, but it seemingly doesn't reward you for others. Like
Yeah.
motherhood is a great example.
Yeah.
Like what other like level of like tremendous mastery could there be than like raising a human being? But then so
Mm.
much of it goes like unappreciated and unnoticed
Mm.
and
Mm.
seemingly unrewarded. And same
Mm.
with fatherhood in many ways. And
Mm.
those two
Mm.
things are
Mm.
deeply tied to the womb, but uh also like friendship.
Mm.
It's like the art of just like being a good companion on the ride is like potentially more difficult than it seems.
Yeah.
And I guess like less clear, so which I love in the context of the 34 too, which is the programming part of the 20th, because like when Richard goes in that
Mm-hmm.
audio, he talks about like the Aikido master,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just sitting on the train. And I've heard like Ram
Mm-hmm.
Dass has also shared that same story in
Mm.
certain talks of his. And uh it's such a good one because it's like Master's like so unassuming
Yeah.
and kind of like links back to that like our genius
Yeah.
is obvious to others,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
not so much ourselves. So
Yeah.
I guess,
And
yeah.
I love these words versatility and mastery coming together because I think it really helps us to understand more deeply what mastery actually is, you know, and the difference between mastery and force, right? Because you can force yourself into becoming very good at something, right? You can use force and you can use more of a harsh discipline, not like the higher purpose discipline spoken of in, say, Gene Key 21, but like I'm going to make myself, and if I get really good at this, then I'll finally be worthy. If I get really good at this, finally, like I'll mean something, my life will mean something. And you can master something in a forceful way. But I think one of the big differences between forceful mastery and true mastery is the person that has done the forceful mastery, they might be really good at that one thing, but it's not transferable across their life. So they might be really good at this thing, but then they're a shit husband. Or they're really good at this thing and they're not a very good friend. They're really good
Mhm.
at this thing, but they get really angry when they're trying to do other things. True mastery, in the essence that the 16 really invites us into, to become a master at one thing, you've become a master at life. And so the versatility, the mastery that you have built in, let's use, martial arts as an example. For someone to become a master in the realm of martial arts, in the journey of that, they've actually mastered life. And that's the man on the train, scenario,
Mhm.
the story. It's like You haven't fully mastered something if it's not transferable across to be an open-hearted, loving person over here. You know, if you've really mastered this over there, you can apply it over here.
Right. Like genius is holistic. It's not just confined to the mind or to one arena, which is like what makes the polymath or the
Mm-hmm.
virtuoso
Mm-hmm.
get down. I remember now what I was something that came before. It's like the performance, like this, if you think of like versatility, like one of the ways I've found myself accessing it is like the performance is practice. Practice is just play.
Mm-hmm.
It's like finding, it's like an axiom that like what feels like play to us is also like how we stay disciplined. Like if you're not enjoying yourself, you won't keep showing up, which is where like determination comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And um yeah, if anyone's listening, just the story we're referencing is in the 34th Gene Key if you listen to that audio about the man on the train. Uh
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good one to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that nine, how the nine comes in with the 16, right? The small things. Mastery isn't about mastering some big thing, it's about all of the small things that create the big thing. Like it's, Gene Key 9, taming the power of the small and mastering life. So if we look at the word, and I like to look at it through this lens of mastery, yes, you've got mastery of a certain skill set or mastery of certain talent, but I like to look like, what does it look like to become a master at humaning, a master at living, a master at life? And to master life, it is the little things. To master life, it's not about the big stage performance that you're working towards. It's about the little things that you do when you wake up each morning. It's about the little ways that you connect with your spouse. It's about those little things that you do to take care of yourself. It's about the little ways that you pause. It's actually mastery as a culmination of the little things because it really is the little things is where we master life. It's not the big things. Because if you focus too much on the big things, sometimes some people can focus on the big things. 26 is mastering the power of the big, whereas Jinky 9 mastering the power of the small. But it's, yeah, we can drop the ball in the little things that are actually everything. You know what I'm saying?
I see it both ways. Like to me, mastery is about like it's about uh basically having no preferences. And essentially what the nine gene key is like the inverse of it would be like getting too hung up on the small things that weigh you down. There's like death by like 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah. I guess it's whether you're getting stuck or not that shows you, because then that's not taming the power of the small, it's just inertia.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
And so like I think master is like that you have found a deep connection to the small things. And
Yes, you see
like
the
as
big
they
thing in the small things.
right, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying, uh like mastery steps out of I mean, it's interesting because like we will only like in our minds we put mastery as a thing, but mastery itself would not put it in a hierarchy,
Mm.
you know. They would put it at the size of an ant.
Mm.
That's like one of my
Mm.
deep practices. I'll bow to ants or smaller creatures than me,
Mm-hmm.
as like a like humility comes in there, but just mm, like just like there's an innate genius in me, so there is in all of nature. in
Yeah.
other aspects of life. So
Mm.
mastery in some way like gives you access to like witnessing
Mm.
that level of genius outside
Mm.
yourself. But like it also like wakes up other people's genius. I think
Mm.
that's like a profound
Mm-hmm.
uh part of this like this frequency, which is
Yeah.
why it's so important, like why the Gene Key starts with that line. It's like about like living at your highest, at your zenith, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like so important to waking up the genius in everyone else around you.
Absolutely. And like I think that that word zenith, like living at your zenith, it can be misconstrued through superficiality as like I'm doing all of these exciting things, but really like in what I'm hearing you say, it's bringing it back to the ordinary. Like it just, I just feel like everything comes back to Gene Key 15 recently, but bringing it back into the beauty of the ordinary. And like when I look at 20 and well, you could look at 20 on its own or 16 on its own, but 20 and 16 together, I kind of feel like, don't show me what you know. Don't show me the big exciting thing that you achieved. Show me how you live on a random Tuesday morning because that is where living at your zenith actually lives. That's where mastery, presence, all these beautiful things, genius.
Hmm.
Sure, we do. It leads to the accomplishments in some ways for some people, but not all.
Mm.
It's about how you live your everyday damn life. And that's what I want to see. To me, that's a strike of genius. I'm like, show me if I could be a fly on the wall. And I mean, the fly is the dream arc animal for 20. If I could be a fly on the wall in your house, how you
You sure
living?
about that? You want that?
How you living? Right? How you bloody living? Because that, at the end of the day, if that's not the thing that we're enhancing, what the fuck are we doing?
I couldn't tell you.
Huh?
I no, I absolutely I agree. The
Can I add one more thing?
yeah,
Because it's just popped into my
yeah,
mind. I don't want to forget it. I heard it on a podcast the other day, but it refers so beautifully to this. Like, if, if we think about mastering life or mastering our genius or whatever, if your journey of self-improvement doesn't make you a better person in relationship, if it doesn't make you a more open-hearted person in society, if it doesn't make you a more loving person with others, you're not doing self-improvement, you're doing self-worship.
or self-masturbation.
You could choose that word if you want to do. There's like there's some harsh higher purpose truths as well in here. And like I
Uh,
very much find that in the energy of 16 and in 20. 20's like, all right, you think you're digging in? All right, let's really see about that.
for
You
sure.
know, and 16 goes, you think you want to live a life of mastery? Let's see about that. But in like a
Hmm.
real, we're being called into our fucking evolution, right? We're
Hmm.
being called into greatness. And so but it's in the little ways that we get called out in the biggest of ways. You know,
Right.
it's in the ordinary where we actually find the deepest calls into genius and zenith and open heartedness and all these things because we can perform. We can
Hmm.
perform open heartedness. We can perform I've got my life all together. But that's the difference in self-assurance. Like self-assurance, the confidence can be performed, but self-assurance isn't about performance, it's about presence.
Right.
And like, I like a bit of that energy in my life. I respond well. I respond well to that energy that, oh, okay, Haley. Like, I just really love that energy of to walk the walk, not just talk the
Sure.
talk. Like, and that's
Can't
probably
fake the
why Gene
funk,
Key's
baby.
16. It's my favorite Gene Key because I'm like, ah, if you really allow the teachings of 16 to penetrate you, you can do anything. Not
Mm.
that you're meant to do everything, but that knowing that, like, I'm just one step of initiative away from living a life on a higher plane.
That was a nourishing self-improvement either. It was just a delineation between like part of the gauntlet throwdown in this gene key and in the 20th gene key to me is like about like which self we're actually like improving, you know? Is it the
Yes.
idea of
Oh,
ourself
that's
or
good shit.
the like external validation, or is it like our sense of being, which is really
Oh,
what self-assurance is like the perfume of, is like our it's like our naturalness. And
mm,
I like part of what we're getting at is like contemplation is digestion, and we don't like we're in such a
mm,
it's an interesting parallel for me because like the 16 gene key is the polymath, right? And like we're at this time of artificial intelligence where like seemingly anybody could be a polymath because we can access all this knowledge
mm,
whenever we want,
mm,
supposedly, you know?
mm,
And especially when it comes to wisdom teachings like the gene keys, it's like and like what you're just saying, like we can scroll on Instagram, you'll be watching this video on YouTube, you know, alongside a bunch of other spiritual frameworks and one-off sayings, but like what in like what context, you know? Is it like the
mhm.
same as like uh it's like getting your vegetables through a that's not a good one. Like it's that's not a good analogy. It's just like it's like quick calories, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like we have this media of or this diet of information now and like an
Mm,
information age, but it's like for wisdom we need discipline. And we
mm,
need that versatility like of those things. We need patience, we need
mhm,
courage, we need
mhm,
time, you know? Like
mm,
I like right now you guys are catching me in like a middle of like a deep practice of self-assurance is like I have been kind of like fasting from the gene keys as far as like
mhm,
consuming them,
mhm.
but like honing my awareness on them just like after my uh imprint of them, you know, which is
Yes.
like my first like 3 or 4 years. So I feel like, you know, that's like where the freshness is ultimately found is like where we
Mhm,
let ourselves
mhm.
trust ourselves enough to like know what we're talking about, to know what we're
Yes.
like getting up to. And I think one of the greatest risks at this moment is kind of confusing what I was like was writing some notes before. It's like it's not that like technology is like sapping away our presence, right? Because it's like
Mm,
our presence is something we ultimately have to discover or find our way back to
mm,
or allow ourselves to inhabit, right? But it
mhm,
does steal and will rob us of our attention. And like our attention, like our talent is one of the best ways to come into more presence. So
oh,
like honing the the scalpel of our attention to like cut out like it's not that being on our phones is necessarily destructive, right? But if we're supposed to be, if we're meant to be living and doing other things and it's taking us from that,
mhm.
then it will be, you know, which is like
Yes.
where the Zenith comes back to. So
Yeah.
there is Which is why the art of contemplation is like ultimately like it's an
Mm,
art of coming back to
mm,
presence, you know?
absolutely. And like
And yeah.
the word integration comes through for me in all that you're saying. And actually,
Hmm.
I don't know if anyone would see, but I'd like, well, I'd written it on my page yesterday and like scribbling a few notes of like if you're doing a lot of inner work, but you're not seeing much change happening in the way that you're living your life, the missing piece is the integration. And so like for
Hmm.
you, like like the fasting from the gene keys, the seasons where you go deep in the teaching and then step away from the teaching, that is the integration time that we need to be patient with, and that's often the bit that's missing. And I think that what you're saying about this technological age that we're in, it's incredible, all of the knowledge that we have access to. But unless you're integrating that, it's worthless. Unless you're integrating it, it actually makes things worse. Because to know a lot and to not embody a lot is like worse than not knowing anything and not embodying it,
Well,
right? Like
I would say it's probably the fastest track to embodiment, ultimately,
the
which is
knowing a
like
lot and not integrating.
right, like when I stand back far enough, it's like I view all of like spiritual materialism essentially, which is like kind of what we're referencing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like uh confusing spirituality with like the object, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
but once that veil breaks for us, it's
Then you
like
integrate it.
instant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really like a power, like one of the most powerful
Mm-hmm.
catalysts we can do is just like get lost in that, you know. And I had to go through that
Mm-hmm.
entire thing with the Gene Keys
Mm-hmm.
and my path. That was like a
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge part of it. And
Yeah.
um, it's so easy, like, like the profile is a great example. Which is why I think that Richard is always like kind of like circling back into this. He's like, it's not that. It's just
Mm.
like what that is showing you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like unless we hit that moment of integration. Yeah, and I think that's where we could have a tendency to get lost because in those times where we used to would have had a natural pause, would have had a natural moment of integration, we're
Right.
now here, you
Hmm.
know, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and to bring the awareness to where is the point where what I have consumed now needs to be a moment of, you know,
Hmm. And that's like,
and
sorry, go on. Yeah. I just have something.
there you go, you go.
You sure?
Mhm,
I no, I was just gonna say with like integration, like this is like where like wraps back into synchronicity for me because it's like the
mhm,
moment you take a step back, like you allow life to revolve like what you've been
mhm,
contemplating, what you've been teaching like back to you. It like
mhm.
shows you the continuity of your experience with the continuity of like all experience
Yeah,
essentially. And then
yeah.
the integration happens in like archetypal sense.
And when you're immersed in the art of contemplation, that's what happens, right? I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people that they think they think that the art of contemplation is what they're doing, but there is no space for that bit that you're doing. I think that that thing that you're doing and that natural cycle is like deeply you in the art of contemplation. Not not a lot of people are there of even recognizing that moment.
Are you
It
talking
just
about me specifically?
I'm saying that you're in
Oh,
this beautiful
oh yeah,
cycle of the
thank you.
art of contemplation. Like
Hmm.
and like you've got the awareness of the art of contemplation and what that means, and that pause naturally comes and it hits you in that moment. I think that um I think that for the most part we miss that moment. I think we miss that moment. And I think that that's the beauty of Richard's teachings on the art of contemplation. Really, that's what the Gene Keys are about. The Gene Keys are just an excuse to contemplate. The Gene Keys are just a portal into this art of contemplation because they really cannot be unlocked in any other way.
Right.
I think a lot of I feel a lot of sadness, and I tap into a lot of like the stress. I've got stress in my pearl, and I can kind of feel the collective stress in certain ways where there is this constant seeking or this constant having experiences or constant doing plant medicine and having these realizations and realizing different things,
Mm.
and then no, not enough space for integration. And like I can feel how that makes people feel, you know?
Yeah, I'd say if anything, as someone who's uh dabbled uh across the spectrum, is like
Mm,
the profile is one of the most powerful integration tools I think I've ever came across
mm,
because it like can take giant experiences and integrate them through the lens
mm,
of frequency, you know? And it's
mm.
like, because all this, like, essentially, if we take like catharsis or cathartic um, type medicines or like experiences, like they, and this is my framework, it's like basically like taking a shotgun and just like blowing the door off the hinges of whatever your experience
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
like
yeah.
the floodgates open, and it's like you have all this stuff you're sitting with, and it's like in your body and it's flooding, you know? And like part
Yeah.
of the contemplation and the matrix that is the 64 is like it gives your consciousness, which is now wide open, a transcendent structure to latch
Mm-hmm.
onto. So it's like it
Mm-hmm.
gives you structure, but that structure is taking you, when I say transcendent, I'm not mean like that. It's actually taking you like farther down into your being in many ways. And God, I had one thing that I was like really wanted to share. Oh, it's gone. But yeah, I think it floated out of my my field,
It
but it
comes
was
back
right
to the
there.
approach,
It
doesn't
will
it?
come back.
It comes back to the approach. I think it comes back to like what we were saying at the beginning around like the attempt to access purpose without feeling pain. If
Mm.
that is the
Yeah.
approach to whatever it is that you're doing. So if the fuel behind whether it's digging into the gene keys, whether it's sitting with plant medicine, whether it's therapy, no matter what, if the fuel is I want to access more purpose in my life with by feeling the least amount of pain,
Right.
that approach doesn't open up the depth. Whereas I guess, and this is where the gene keys are such a beautiful framework because they say, okay, we're going to come in and hold space for the pain and for the shadow. And it's, if we're sitting in any of these sorts of spiritual teachings, ceremonies, whatever, and the intention is I am open to feeling the pain in order to access my purpose. That
Mm.
holds space for the integration in it, in a way.
No, for sure. Like allowing is like the first step to
Mm,
contemplation.
mm,
I remember what I was gonna say. Part of my approach right now, like what you were talking about, is because I'm just like a total shithead. Because I just like there's a deep need in me, and I think all is to like we test the universe
mm,
and we test the wisdom, you know? Like how does
mm,
this hold up in our own lives? Like is this tangible? Is this real? Is this like practical to my experience, you know? Some teachings won't be. Like we all gravitate towards
mhm,
whatever, we get pulled to different watering holes at different times. But
mm,
eventually like any wisdom teaching, or I guess like if you find yourself on a path of seeking, you'll have to stay in one spot eventually. The same way, like
mm,
if you really want to access your versatility, you'll have to like go deep into one
mhm,
thing till you hit that
mhm,
like vein of like
Hmm.
first principle, or implicate
Yeah.
order or
Yeah.
God or genius or whatever
Yeah. Because in the
framework you
one
want to
thing you
use.
find everything. And that's like the one piece that reveals the fractal nature of everything.
Mhm. Or you find yourself, or you find that what you were looking for in the first place is completely different or
Mm.
disappeared.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
I've got a question for you. If
yeah,
you're
bro,
not
say, please, someone serve me
if
up.
you're going somewhere, I'll let you go there. But if you're
No, I
not
was
going
like,
anywhere, I want to ask you a question. I
just
was
got
like,
pulled out
okay,
into the
is he
ethers. I
going
was like,
somewhere or is
oh.
he?
No, no, I wasn't. That's the point. That's like the whole point is like seeing it's like that's where you get to. It's like, oh, I'm not standing anywhere actually, you know?
Mm,
It's like there's
mm,
nowhere to stand. So that like to me that is the essence of mastery too, is like seeing that there's nowhere to stand. So
mm,
then you stand like you said, end up standing everywhere at once.
mm, mm, so cool. I've got a off tangent Jinky 20 question that I'd love to ask you
Lay it
if
on
that's
me.
okay.
Yeah.
So because you've got 55-1 in your life's work, the 20 goes with a 55 line 1, 2, 3, possibly the 4 when you're yeah, there's these little intersection bits, but a 55 life's work often, unless you're a 55 line 5 or line 6, comes with a 20 purpose. What do you feel is the significance between like 20 as a purpose supporting 55 as a life's work?
Do you mean that incarnation cross is always like kind of similar like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So I
the
mean, like if you've
yeah,
got a 55 life's work, you'll either have a 20 purpose or right now I
30,
cannot think of the
34,
other.
34,
Well,
right?
that would be if you had a 59 life's work.
This isn't my domain.
No,
Geez.
so they
But
they come in two different there's two different ways that an activation sequence comes, right? And so one of the 55 life's works is always a 20 purpose. So like
yes, yeah, yeah. But
why
what's
do
the other
you
one?
I
Do you know?
can't think right now. So a
Okay.
55 line 5 life's work. I can't think what the other pairing is with the 55 59. So 34-20 is one of the pairings and there is another one and I can't think what it is, but um
Hmm, interesting.
I would just like to know your take as like the 20 being this perfect archetype to support a 55 life's work.
Well, I think it comes down to, at least in my experience, like down to like boldness
Mm,
and daring.
mm,
Uh, like that self-assurance. My love of presence, I guess, is it's not even that. It's that like when I find myself like leaking presence or like presence being siphoned away from me or my experience, not only is like uh super hard for me to like get on board with whatever it is, but like it feels like so corrosive to my experience that
mm,
it like forces me to be bold enough to like live in like whatever my sense of like freedom is, even if it's not lining up with like what seems logical in the moment.
yeah.
So it like keeps my but then like the gratification, or I guess like the, like as a poet, um, it's like a good example because like I have this routine of like writing in the mornings, like writing poetry when I wake up,
Hmm.
and I always know if I'm caught in the superficiality, if I haven't like if I'm like missing days not writing a poem in the morning,
Mm.
because it's like a practice of presence
Mm.
for me, and really poetry is about yeah, I just think inhabiting the moment deeper and deeper, and suddenly things are
It's beautiful.
like things become so obvious, that are hidden.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, definitely. I love that. I've been
the
very
romance
intrigued.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been very intrigued, just increasingly intrigued about the partnership between the life's work evolution and radiance and purpose, and in particular like the purpose as the roots, or like the tap root that's like woo, and then the life's work that is the light that shines out, and just the relationship between those two gene keys, sort of like the purpose holds and grounds in so that the life's work can be in its boldness, can shine brightly out into the world. And I am just fascinated by the patterns of pairing
Right.
with these gene keys. So yeah, 20 and 55, like just couldn't help myself. I just wanted to hear your experience.
No, I think it's great. It's like the life's work is like the solar fire,
Hmm.
right? And then like
Yeah,
the purpose being like
inner
our
fire.
inner fire. Yeah. Which
Mm,
has a lot to
mm,
do with genius and how we were
mm,
rapping about it. I think what's interesting, I guess, from like we think like 55 and 59 is like just like to me at least deeply spiritual gene keys, but you have like it's like very kind of like etheric leaning, and then the very like unconscious, or like I would say unconscious, very physical. Like the
mm.
34 and 20 is like very
Yeah,
physical,
so physical. Yes.
So I need a lot of that physicality,
Mm.
or you'll see like just before I was like lost in space, you know?
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then all of a sudden like my body's like bringing me, okay, I'm here, I'm in this thing, you know?
Yes. Yes. And I can see like from a lower frequency point of view, like part of that victimization can be like I'm stuck in this body instead of being grounded in this body as a way to experience freedom. Like it's our very physicality that can make us not feel free. It's an interesting.
Yeah, I'm that uh well, it sounds like that tracks more for yourself. To me, it's like
Mm,
my emotions. That's the big
mm,
one for me. It's like my whole
mm-hmm,
life is like I'm like trapped in this
mm-hmm,
feeling
mm-hmm.
more so than my body. But I feel
Yeah.
like your experience, like tell me how you relate 49 and 2. That's right, right? That's
Two
your
and
purpose.
four.
2
Two
and
and four.
4. 2 plus 2.
Two is four. I love it. Um, yeah, I guess, well, two being this receptive, receiving, the yin, the trust, the can I trust in anything that comes my way as an approach to life, as a letting that shine out of my face. Fear is safe, all of these things. But then four as a purpose is it adds more purpose to that. It's like the purpose of letting all of that in is so
Mm,
we can understand, so we can understand the depths of the patterns, and we can, and ultimately so we can forgive, like whatever is coming my way. Underneath all of that is an invitation into forgiving myself or the world or just the the pain. It's a prerequisite to really allow myself to be in that, because otherwise, sure, you can let everything in, but then be intolerant to it. It's like it's informing how to let it all in. Let it all in, trust it, and allow yourself to understand it. And in order to let something in an attitude that allows you to understand it, you have to be so open and so yielding and so willing to forgive.
Hmm.
And so they kind of keep informing each other and taking each other deeper and deeper in that way.
I really like you saying that. I really see like your work as like a Gene Keys guide and like your life's work and your purpose like through those like lenses much
Mm,
deeper because I feel like part of like
mm,
so much of the gift of like being a guide is like orienting people
mm,
like just like
mm,
towards either what's needed or like what where their greatness is hiding outside their
mm,
sight and like
mm,
understanding like where they're coming from super deeply and
mm,
I I don't know, I just see like the design in
mm.
that for you. It's very cool.
Yeah. Thank you, my
So
friend. Yes,
yeah.
the more I let myself, the more I learn to orient myself in the void, in the darkness.
Hmm.
It's like I'm understanding the greater map of, or if you go this way, if you take that tunnel, I know that down there is something really amazing. It's like the kind of understanding of the map of what it is to be human
Hmm.
helps to orient. But then, and that's that line five that comes through in a practical way. But then at the depth of that, there is also this underlying knowing that I can be as practical as I like in giving you directions. But at the end of the day, I know it's just about love. It's just about the fact that I went into the darkness and I found love, and I'm just going to hold the frequency of that love for you. And that's all it's really about at the end of the day, because it's love that orients someone. But the line five is still going to give the practical direction. And I just let her do her thing. But at the end of the day, there's a deeper understanding that those directions are just to make you feel more comfortable. I know that what I'm really doing is just loving you.
Right. I don't even know if like comfortable. I feel like I feel like you're short selling yourself with the word comfortable. I think you make people feel safe,
Yeah,
which is like
that's
where
fun.
like where healing can happen.
Mhm.
Like real healing. So
Mm.
I yeah, I love that. I see that.
Mm. Thank you.
Um, and before I was just kind of like, because I know you've had like, I think like autoimmune stuff.
Mhm.
So I was saying like feeling like
Yeah, the relationship
the
to the
physics.
body and
Yeah,
freedom is like story of my life kind of thing. So yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Believing that your body is the prison. I was talking about this yesterday with John, the filmmaker, and I was like, I used to think that I even used to use the language that I've got this soul and this spirit that's so alive and the dreams and she's just like ah, but then I have this body that like doesn't match up. And
mm-hmm,
that's the language I used to use, but I've shifted that to now in like through 55, like what freedom really is. I'm like, what if my soul and my spirit, they perfectly match up with my body? So it was actually my resistance to thinking they don't match makes the body feel like a prison. But then I started considering, what if this spirit and this wow, this thing I feel inside of me, what if this body in her limitations and her challenges, it's actually the perfect fit, especially for my especially for my profile. So it's like I found the freedom through my body, not through my body being different so that my mind thought it matched up, but through letting go of my mind's thoughts that they didn't match up and coming back into the harmony that they actually are. It's like, oh my God, it's
Mm,
perfect. Because the
right.
perfection of my soul and my spirit being like that, and my body being like this, they're the perfect ingredients for awakening.
I
And I'm
love that. I
free.
feel like I don't know, the more I like just like watch in myself and like others, it's like first of all, there's like no rules, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
also uh it like just like it starts at like different levels. Like you said, like you feel like you have like this expansive mind, but your body wouldn't couldn't catch up. Or it's like sometimes it's like the total opposite, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For like me,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the emotional sense, but just like I don't know. It's like a like you said, like a perfectly amazing recipe for awakening. Like to
Yeah.
start at like that level of like physicality, which just means like
Yeah. Can live in a battle between those two things for your whole life if you wanted to.
Mhm.
Or we could start daring to look at them through the lens of what if this was harmony? What if this, it doesn't make
Right.
sense, but it does.
I think that's like a another really like that's what makes the profile such a like the most powerful contemplative tool like I've found, you know, is that it
Hmm.
shows you like, okay, what if this was harmony? And then
Mm.
it like
Mm.
shows you, you know, or
Yeah.
like the tip of that iceberg. And you're like, wow.
Recipe for genius. Mm. This was so juicy.
It's like, yeah, what? I can
As
feel it.
always, I mean, it's just, it's so fun to just, mm, all of these things that we both deeply contemplate in private,
Hmm.
to then let them just come out and weave together in public, I think is part of that Gene Key 16.
I
Yeah.
think so. It's great to, yeah, I mean, it helps me cultivate more presence, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like witnessing. If
Mm-hmm.
anything, I think like, uh, yeah, like self-assurance is a almost like uh inevitability of just like becoming a better witness to your own life. So
Yeah.
this is
And
definitely
just
part
not
of
being
that.
afraid to get it wrong. It's like whatever you've
That's
been
yeah.
contemplating, it's like whatever you've been contemplating, it's worthy of being heard. And
Mhm.
it's not about, and I love that about our conversations, Lawrence. We're not trying to get it right. We're just playing in the field.
Mm.
And in
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
so, little things just resonate and then we go away and we contemplate them more. It's like we're not seeking completion here.
That is very wise.
Thank
I
you.
no, I agree. Yeah, well, I feel like there's a whole maybe we'll get into that next time, the 32.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because
Mm-mm-mm.
I could feel that one like really, really wanting to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah, especially because it's like tied to the phone and the witness and like I don't know, it feels like more and more like our failures are all public, but
Mm-hmm.
uh then when you tap into genius, you just like step past to
Mm-hmm.
where it's not even a thing. So I love it. Yeah, like what all of this really does for me, and I think like why I love it, like as a poet and like the Gene Keys is like it's a language, so we're really like rewiring our language and like
Hmm.
what these words mean,
Yeah.
glossary.
Yeah.
But I
Beautiful.
share the joy of getting to share this with you. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to anyone who was tuning in live, and thank you to
Thank
those
you,
who are watching the
Lisa.
replay. Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Love you, my friend. Um, yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back for
Yeah.
more juicy conversations.
Thank you guys.
All right. Mwah. Oh, that was so good.